Now at this time, I'd like to call forward Mr. Tate Shaw, Interim Director of the Visual Studies Workshop. Sadly, Ann Tucker could not be with us today due to a death in her family. She flew all the way in from Houston and learned of her brother's death yesterday, but her thoughts are with us today. I trust our thoughts are with her and her family. Mr. Shaw has kindly offered to deliver Ms. Tucker's commencement address. As I said earlier, listen carefully. To honor Ms. Tucker, I'd like to read the citation verbatim as if she were with us today. You are a recognized leader in the fine art photography who's been named America's best curator by Time Magazine and one of American Photo Magazine's 100 most important people in photography. You have made critical contributions to the promotion of photography in your work. Is the Gus and Lyndall Wortham, curator of the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. Your commitment to the art of photography has had far-reaching impact, garnering you the Griffin Museum Lifetime Achievement Award, and having studied with workshop founder Nathan Lyons, you personify the excellence for which VSW is known. You have been curator for more than 40 exhibitions, most of which were accompanied by a scholarly publication. You have lectured throughout the United States, Europe, Asia, and Latin America, and have received fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts and the John Simon Guggenheim Memorial Foundation. Through your dedication to the art of photography and your close ties to the Visual Studies Workshop, you've inspired generations of artists and admirers of the photographic arts. The State University of New York is proud to confer upon you, Ann Tucker, the honorary degree of Doctor of Fine Arts. Mr. Scott Turner of our College Council, our chair, is assisting us in this honor. And Tate, thank you so much for stepping forward on this momentous day.
Graduates and families. First, I want to thank you for this honor. I was a bit nervous about speaking to you, but after surveying friends, family, and acquaintances, I determined that most people can't remember who spoke at their graduation. The title of my remarks is, Don't Live Through Your Fingers. I am a curator of the visual arts. Sight is essential to what I do, but I was raised by a blind woman named Annie Bell-Jones, who taught me that I was wasting capabilities by not utilizing all of my senses to the fullest. She was a remarkable African-American woman, orphaned. She graduated from the Louisiana School for the Blind, where she learned to read Braille and was encouraged to be independent. Sometime in the 1920s, she came to work for my family. Belle taught my brother and me to listen, to people, to birds, to music. She judged you by how you spoke, as well as what you spoke, and she was rarely wrong when she distrusted someone. Learning new tasks, she was fearless, or seemed to be. She could cook. She could sort socks by the feel of their dye, flawlessly separating blue from black from brown. She asked questions all the time, encouraging me to be more specific in my answers. I was an adult before one of my friends realized that I had grown up describing the world to Annie Bell-Jones, and have been observing and describing it ever since. Mostly I write about the world as mediated through photographs. This lecture arises from a college professor reporting that he would no longer be bringing his classes to the museum to see original photographs because the students were satisfied with seeing the images on their computers. Wow, I thought, what a truncated experience. What a loss of sensory pleasure. Every image will be the same size, the same texture, same tonality, and the same resolution. Colors will be diminished or distorted. This quick grab of information off the computer, however time-saving, is a poor substitute for acute observation and appreciation of beautiful or disturbing objects. Don't think that I'm anti-technology. I just think that the students who made this decision are wasting the body they've been given. They are severely limiting the quality and type of their perceptions, and therefore an important component of their understanding of the world. This led me to survey my friends and colleagues in various professions about their use of the 5 traditional senses. I've picked sight and hearing and touch as examples of their responses. Sight. Architects rank sight and touch as primary. Actually, they rank light as everything. Beyond its visual impact, it is also a sort of heat or its absence, which is also critical for architects to project. Computer programs can tell the architect how light will play across the facade's design, but only if the right information is programmed. As the saying goes, junk in, junk out. The capacity to input the right information depends on the richness of the designer's imagination, as well as the in-depth and range of their experiences. Light is so variable. It's different depending on the latitude, the season, the weather, and the time of day. It is a hot light close to the equator, or a cool light approaching the poles, the water-laden blue light at sea level, or dry, intense white light of the mountains. You can study Baroque architecture in books, but until you've seen how natural light and shadows surround and define ornamented and columned facades, you've missed the essential elements of that style. That's one of the many benefits of travel, seeing buildings and the environments in which they were designed. I love walking down the streets in Paris on a late fall afternoon when sunlight breaks across the heavily decorated buildings, and walking in Buenos Aires when the cacophony of brilliantly painted homes compete for my attention. I often travel to the locations in which photographers have worked to better understand not only what they photographed, but what they did not photograph. It is best to go in the same season in which they worked. My colleague, Emily Neff, refuted other art historians about Arthur Wesley Dow's 1911 painting of the Grand Canyon, when she discovered that in a particular season and particular time of day in which he painted, the minerals in the canyon walls reflected colors more brilliantly than at other times, so he did not exaggerate the color. Although Dow felt that feeling harmony was more important than conveying likeness, he was nevertheless responding to the visual array before him. Hearing. A prominent lawyer chose hearing as the most important sense for his profession. I have to listen to what is said and what is not said. Of course, I also listen for intonation. To enforce what he meant by the importance of voice tone, he recounted a famous moment in philosophy circles, where a young professor had given a paper discussing how a double negative resolves into a positive, but that a double positive does not create a negative. From the back of the room, a voice boomed, "Yeah, yeah." However embarrassing that may have been to the young professor to have his paper dismissed in 2 words, for other professions, one's skill to remember and analyze sounds can mean life or death. For instance, friends who are conflict photographers must train themselves to recognize the sounds of different guns and artillery and to know which combatant uses those weapons. One's life depends on knowing who is firing, what, and from what direction. Touch. Doctors and athletes tended to choose touch as the most necessary sense. There is an advertisement currently on television which touts high-tech machinery over the traditional doctor's examination by touch. But data is only as good as those evaluating it. As one doctor said, whether or not a machine intervenes, the results still depend on assessment. Machines may give information that is only available through their interception, but I've known doctors who could accurately diagnose a patient when they walked in the door by how they moved, the color of their skin, and the sound of their voice. Good athletes are totally aware of their particular bodies, the sound of their breath, whether muscles are loose and ready for exertion, and pain that can be worked through versus pain that can scream stop. We're coming into summer. Surely you are anticipating the touch of hot sand on bare feet, followed by immersion in cool water. One of our greatest poets, Walt Whitman, wrote, "A morning glory at my window satisfies me more than the metaphysics of books." Well, I may spend hours of every day at my computer, but not one moment lived through my fingers on keyboards has ever matched the pleasures and memories accumulated by stimulating my other senses.